We have another interesting thought down below that I'll read for you guys. Your friends get 35 likes for posting a picture of a puppy, while your puppy picture only brings in 3. You post a pro-gun control rant, only to find that most of your, quote, friends disagree with your stance. You post a joke, and only one person comments to tell you that your joke was ungrammatical. Social media are sounding boards for your ideas, not tools for fostering meaningful friendships. The number of likes you get depends on the number of friends you have in the first place. And when that's your measure of success and popularity, it's no wonder that even the most brilliant Facebookers and Twitterers end up feeling ashamed, depressed, and uncared for. These are tools for the popular to become more popular, not for the unpopular to establish or nurture trust and companionship. I love that thought he gave us there. And I think it's a good way to think about it. Sometimes it can seem like a popularity contest, how many likes you get or how many comments you get. It's like the judgment of whether your thought was good enough if you get a lot of likes or enough comments. Tell me what you guys think in the chat box. Let me know how you feel when no one comments on your status or no one likes your puppy pictures. Another interesting comment. This really hasn't been my experience at all. Almost all my closest friends and family members live very far away, and everyone has different lifestyles and personal situations that may make keeping in touch difficult. I joined Facebook pretty late, I think mid-2008, after being a little lonely and sad and missing some of my far-flung friends. I love that alliteration, far-flung friends. That's almost a tongue twister. And it was just like a breath of fresh air. I renewed old relationships, yes, in person, and got to see photos and videos of my friends' families and children that I otherwise wouldn't. Facebook was a savior when I lost my job, much more so than LinkedIn. I posted that I had been laid off and suddenly was receiving messages from people I might not have seen since college, letting me know of an opening or suggesting I meet their contact or offering to give me a recommendation. Honestly, I don't see why people think this tool is so horrible. And that comment in itself got 33 upvotes. So on NPR, they have these little upvotes. So you can say if you enjoyed the comment or did not. And I identify with this comment because I live very far away from my family as well. And so sometimes having the connection of Facebook is a really meaningful connection for me. It's a convenient way for me to talk to my family, given that there's the time difference to think about. I can't always call them at a convenient time. Plus, it's free because making international phone calls is not always the cheapest thing to do. So it's this free mode of communication that's also convenient. And although it has its downsides, that's a really nice tool for me to have. Another interesting opinion by Julie Ann. Way to insert a positive opinion. The operative word you used was tool. It makes me think about having a car and what it means in responsibility. In general, automobiles can be expensive and vexing if a body doesn't use prudent judgment. Facebook can be someone's worst nightmare if one does not consider the power of bringing attention to oneself. The ability to share one's life in pictures and have the ability to send brief messages easily is wonderful. But for goodness sake, be civil and mannerly. Geez. I joined Facebook about when you did and encouraged my long-distance family to join so we could be closer, and we are. I feel just about the same way you expressed in your comment. I don't understand the need for drama over Facebook either. So I agree with this comment as well. I think I joined Facebook in 2006, so maybe a couple years earlier than these people did. But once I went abroad, it was a great tool for me to use for my family. And I think my parents got Facebook maybe a couple years ago, probably 2011, 2012. I think it took the older generation a little while longer to get Facebook. And of course, my grandma still has no idea how Facebook works. So there are some people that Facebook is not really an attractive option. And it has to do with generations in general, I think. And I think there are some young people too who avoid using Facebook. I admire them, but I can't imagine what that would be like at this point in my life. It would be difficult for me to give up Facebook for sure. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat box if you think it would be difficult to give up Facebook or easy. Another interesting comment by Liz Smith. I deleted my personal account and started a business-only account because I do see the value of using Facebook as a platform to communicate with my fitness students. However, I do not miss my personal account at all, and I agree that Facebook is, to many, merely a place to boast and/or whine. Comparison is the thief of joy by Theodore Roosevelt. Wonderful quote. And that person got 105 upvotes, so must have been a popular idea. Facebook can be a great tool for business and for making business connections, networking a little bit. But as this woman mentioned, it might be important for some people to keep business very separate from personal. Another common story I've heard from friends and others is that people will temporarily disconnect their Facebook to take a break. I've never done that myself, but it's been an interesting idea. Taking a break from Facebook might be nice. Put a stop to some of that comparison. And it would definitely free up some time. If I used all the time that I spent on Facebook doing something else, I might get a lot done. It's kind of like some people count if you save $2 every day, after a couple years you'll be able to buy yourself an amazing vacation or something like that. But it'd be interesting to see if you saved that amount of time, what you'd be able to accomplish. I might spend, I don't know, maybe, depends on the day maybe, but I think I might spend about 30 to 45 minutes a day looking at Facebook. So if I saved that up, every week I'd have several hours to spend reading or talking to friends, sleeping even, or doing something else I like. Trena Gravam has an interesting comment. I got on Facebook about 4 years ago and tried unsuccessfully to get off of it a few months later. After seeing what it was, an artificial, one-dimensional, superficial means of mostly pointless, impersonal, non-intimate, non-private communication between groups of mostly superficially known and who knows who else people. Wow, negative. People are going for being adept with a popular technology in exchange for the increasingly lost art of meaningful human communication, dialogue, conversation. I'm seeing children, youth, young adults, groups, singles, middle-aged, and even some older people who are focused everywhere you go on their smartphones and who are not looking at or speaking to those around them. It's too new to come to any solid conclusions, but I think the trend seems to be away from vital, dynamic human relationships, away from enriching conversation, from which we all use to learn and grow daily. Sad and disturbing, even alarming. It's being used as an escape and is becoming an addiction, like a drug. Looking for love in all the wrong places. A pathetic, inadequate replacement for the real thing, which requires ongoing work. So definitely a scathing comment to Facebook. And Miss Trena Gravam really likes adjectives. She had a ton of adjectives in this comment. And I think she has a point. It can be like an addiction for many people. If we could define addiction, I think a lot of people would qualify as Facebook addicted. But at the same time, this comment might refuse to recognize why people use Facebook so frequently. What is attractive about Facebook? I certainly can think of a few reasons Facebook is an attractive tool for communication and socialization. A person made a comment on that comment. Trena, will you be my friend? Haha, yes indeed. Well said, and I couldn't agree with you more. I had a Facebook page for one day. It was my birthday, and my dear sister, who always called me on my birthday, decided to just post happy birthday on my page instead. That was so hurtful and disappointing that I closed my account. There is definitely a trend towards severing vital human relationships. United we stand has become divided we stand, and might explain why as a nation seems incapable of accomplishing anything of real value and substance. I can understand why Facebook may contribute to feelings of loneliness. When I'm alone, I'm never lonely. It's not until I'm around someone who is mentally disconnected or emotionally unavailable that I begin to feel lonely. There is nothing that can replace the benefits of having real-life human contact and social relationships. Another scathing comment. They're definitely right that there's no replacement for the benefits of human contact. If I had to choose between talking to people face-to-face and talking to people on Facebook, like messaging them, I definitely would choose face-to-face contact. Luckily, we don't have to choose. We can have both. Another interesting comment below talks about the quality of the study, which I think is important to look at. So S.D. Patterson says, seems that only 82 subjects out of billions of users and only 2 weeks worth of testing does not do the study justice. I would be interested in a longer, larger study about social networking, usage, and correlation to moods, well-being, and what cause the effect usage may have on online persona as compared to real-time persona. I think that's a good point because it was a very small test. It might not be definitive or conclusive or correct. Another study would be a good idea. P.A. Quinn says, I'm not typical, and at 61 years old, not college-aged. Maybe it's a generational thing, but I keep Facebook in perspective. I'm able to be in touch with long-distance family and friends with Facebook, but I visit maybe once or twice a day to keep up. In general, I don't think it's healthy to live one's life nearly 100% online. I do have a social life live and in person with people. A website isn't going to make me depressed. All right, so he sounds like a strong guy. You have to have a strong constitution not to compare yourself to your friends. But it sounds like a healthy way to use Facebook. I'll read one more comment for you guys. And make sure to let me know what you're thinking and what you're feeling in the chat box if you're watching. So the last comment I'll read for you guys is by Noblesse Oblige, I think. Looks like maybe French or something. My experience tells me that age isn't much of a factor, so allow me to share. My dad is in his 50s, and he always gets depressed when he goes on Facebook. He becomes envious of the experiences other people are having, traveling the world and such. Publicly, he is a well-respected professional. Privately, he is an immature mess, and Facebook isn't helping. His 50-year-old girlfriend is even more invested in Facebook. She's preoccupied keeping up with who's hanging out where and the latest gossip among their circle of friends. Social comparison is a huge part of her life. She takes great pride when she sees herself as superior to some of her friends, and great shame when she doesn't measure up. Worst of all, this immature woman is employed taking care of at-risk youth. My mom is investing all of her time in some women's prosperity network. Years of being a housewife to a family of ungrateful kids and an unhappy marriage has left her desperate for validation and meaning in her life. Facebook is like oxygen to her now. Wow, that comment goes on. And it sounds interesting. You should check out that comment and click See More. And it brings up the point that although generations can make a difference, it doesn't always make the most difference. So even people of an older generation can be addicted to Facebook, and some people of the younger generation really don't mind, really don't have that much of an attachment. All right. So if you have any other comments or questions, let me know on my Facebook or on my Verbling inbox. Let me know what you thought of the article, or if you have any questions about vocabulary. I hope you guys enjoyed reading that article and found it interesting. I have another class coming up in about 10 minutes, and that one is talking about stress and diet and how the two relate. So we'll be talking more about your daily habits, what makes you stressed out, and reading an article. We'll be also discussing some of the vocabulary in that article. So I hope to see you guys in the next class. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye.